Alright, it's Barry, and today I'm growing. I've got part 2 with another 14 fruits and veg that I'm growing in 2021. It's February next week, and that means it is almost time to start getting ready to start off some of these seeds. I've got loads of different plants that I want to grow this year, and I can't fit them all into one video, so I've split them out across a couple of parts. And this is part 2 of the fruit and veg that I'm growing this year, so if you haven't checked out part 1 already, make sure you go back after this one and watch that one as well. And before we get going, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with all of these seeds as they grow through the year, with loads of guides and ideas to make sure that you get the most out of your plants and your garden in 2021. And as always, I'll make sure there's a link in the description for all of the seeds that I mentioned today, just in case you fancy growing some of these for yourself. First today I'm going to be looking at lettuce, and last year I didn't really grow a great deal other than the ones that I grew inside. So yeah, this year I really want to make sure that I ramp that up a bit and get loads of lettuces in, and I'm mostly going to be using no dig beds just so that I can fill in the gaps around the allotments where I don't have proper beds. So yeah, make use of all of the space that I've got available. I've picked all the lettuce varieties that I'm growing this year because they're the types that the guinea pigs like to eat, but there's loads of different varieties that you can choose from, so have a really good look around and see which ones you'd like to grow for yourself. Lettuce is usually one of the quickest things to be ready to harvest in around 10 to 12 weeks, so it's best to sow some every week once you start, just to make sure that you've got lettuces all year round. And then once we get towards September and October, you can swap onto a winter hardy variety like winter density that can handle those lower temperatures a lot better than other varieties can, and make sure that you've got lettuces growing all year round. I don't really grow cabbages a lot, but I really wanted to have a go at those this year. I grew some really good ones in 2019, so yeah, I thought I'd have a go at that again and see how they turn out on the allotment rather than the back garden. I've gone with a red variety called Mammoth Red Rock, which is an heirloom variety from the 1800s with deep red plants. These are best started in around the end of July for transplanting out at the end of August, and then these will occupy the beds through autumn and winter until they're harvested next January. I didn't really have anything to harvest over this winter, which was quite disappointing, so this year I'm making a really big effort to make sure that I've got plants growing all year round so that there's stuff to harvest all year round as well. And that brings me on to Brussels sprouts. So I've never grown sprouts before. I did grow kaleets in 2019 and they turned out really good. They're like a cross between sprouts and kale, and they grow like sprout stalks but with little mini kale looking sprouts on. They're really weird, but yeah, they grew really well. So I wanted to try growing something similar like sprouts on the allotment so that I've got more room to spread them out because they were a bit crowded. So yeah, hopefully they're going to turn out really good, and I can't wait to see how they turn out. I've chosen a variety called Grow Ninja, which is a second early variety that apparently produces great tasting sprouts, especially after the first frost. And I'm not sure if that means that they're especially great tasting compared to other sprouts, because that doesn't really take much. I've been giving mine away because I don't particularly like eating them, I just like growing them. So yeah, if you want to grow some really nice sprouts in time for Christmas, then I'd recommend giving this variety a try. And then next up we've got onions, and I absolutely love growing onions. They're really easy to grow and they barely take up any room at all, and you can either grow them from seed or you can grow them from sets which are pre-started, and they're sort of like little dried bulbs ready for growing. The shop should start getting the sets in within the next couple of weeks, and they'll have like a selection of white and red varieties to choose from, and I do prefer using sets just because they've got that bit of a head start and they tend to grow better than when I've done them from seed. I'll be growing beetroots again this year. The ones that I grew last year were absolutely fantastic and they pickled really nice, and I've still got loads of them in jars at home. They turned out really, really good, so I definitely did grow too many of them last year. They were a variety called Baltardy, so I'm going to be doing those again this year, but probably just not as many because I definitely did grow too much. I'll be directly sowing those straight into the ground in spring. I'll probably grow half as many as I did last year, and then I'll use the other space in that bed to grow some leeks. I've got a variety called Musselburgh, which are especially winter hardy, and these should be ready in December. And they've also got a really good strong root system, which is fantastic for helping break up heavy soils like the ones that I've got. Another veg that I didn't grow last year that I really regretted when it came to like the time for harvesting was carrots. Carrots grow best in poor soil, so I'll probably just skim some grass off and make a new bed for these, because you want your carrots to go downwards in search of nutrition, and if it's all at the top, if you've been treating it with fertilisers or compost, you'll get short little stubby carrots that just sort of spread out a bit rather than growing like deep into the ground where you get nice long carrots. I've gone for a quick turnaround with a variety called Nance 5, which generally take around 8 to 10 weeks for harvest in good conditions. And just like the lettuces, these are a good one to sow small amounts every week for continual harvest throughout the year. I've also picked up a purple variety called Purple Haze, which are an F1 hybrid, just because I want to grow some unusual varieties, and I've got a few other purple veg varieties growing this year, so why not? And then finally I've got rhubarb, and I've got some rhubarb seeds at home that I really want to have a go at growing, because normally rhubarb comes in crown form, which is a pre-grown plant that you can just stick in the ground and it'll start growing straight away. Rhubarb crowns are usually a year old already, and they can produce a crop in the first year after planting, but growing them from seed will likely mean that they won't be strong enough to take a harvest from for the first 2 or 3 years. I've gone for a variety called Victoria, which are one of the easier varieties to grow, and they produce nice sweet rhubarby stalks. And that's it for today, and up to now that is all of the fruits and veg that I'm planning on growing this year, so hopefully there's a couple of ideas there for you, and maybe a couple of varieties that you'll want to try out for yourself. And then next up, we've got a guide to growing potatoes, so you've got like all your first earlies, second earlies, and what all that means. So that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, as well as a guide to all of the flowers that I'm going to be growing this year as well. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss those videos and all of the other videos that I've got coming up this year. And make sure you let me know in the comments if there's any of these varieties that you're going to have a go of yourself, or maybe if there's any other varieties that you want to let me know about. And I'll see you next time.